At this point, you could shut that final door behind you, mine it as seafoam if you want to, but in all honesty, really won't be that big of a deal because this extraction scan gains progress very quickly, and once you get it up to 100%, you are done and you have beaten the final level of run. Huh? Wait, what? Oh, come on, man. Not again. Hello everyone, Professor Scaly here, and welcome to the alternate R6D4 level guide, the final mission of the rundown. And like always, we're going to be starting off with your loadout. This time around, I recommend you bring with you a bio tracker, a mine deployer, an auto sentry, and a burst sentry. Reason for the bio tracker is that sight will be hindered quite a bit, pitch black darkness, fairly dense fog, as well as some air alarms and tons of scouts. Many factors that I take into consideration whenever I recommend a bio tracker are present in this mission, so you'll definitely want to take one with you. As for the mine deployer, this will assist us during some of the alarm doors in this level, as there will be doors we could shut and mine. There's also going to be a few blood doors, and of course mines are the easiest way to deal with them. And like I mentioned earlier, plenty of scouts in this level, so if we do happen to wake up a few of them to conserve some of our ammunition, it's always nice to fall back to a door, shut it and mine it, and let it do most of the work. As for the auto sentry and burst sentry, these are going to be coming in clutch in this level during some of the alarms. Towards the beginning of it, we do have to deal with a surge alarm, and the enemies aren't spawning all that far away from us, so having an auto sentry to stagger them and keep them back a little bit while the burst sentry chips away will make it so we don't have to worry about dealing with a gigantic horde all at once. They'll also help for later alarms where I have to deal with quite a few enemies from multiple different directions, and they can also be quite useful for the ending of the mission if you know how to use them properly. I have recommended before when it came to the original version of this, instead of double sentry, I would take double seafoam launchers. For those of you who are wondering, yes, that strategy still does work for this level, but due to all the changes to the sentries that have happened since the original Rundown 6, I find that auto sentry and burst sentry could be a little bit more consistent and help out a little bit more where the double seafoam strategy fell off a bit. But if you still want to run double seafoam, by all means go on ahead. I would just say try giving the auto and burst sentry combination a go and it'll work pretty good wonders. Dropping down into the level, you'll see that your main objective is to collect a data cube, which will always be located inside of zone 416. Meanwhile, you and your teammates will be starting off inside of zone 410, and the moment you drop down to the level, an air alarm will be initiated. This air alarm spawning in 2 regular strikers and 2 flyers roughly every 30 seconds. But as soon as you spawn in, you're going to want to start running because this air alarm will always spawn enemies from the direction of spawn, so they'll spawn right on top of you if you're still in the very first room. So go throughout the zone, grab resources, deal with these enemies. There are going to be no naturally sleeping enemies in the zone that you have to deal with, so it's just the air alarm ones. And somewhere in the zone, you will be able to find a colored key card. This door will give you access to the security door up north to zone 412. So once you get the key card, go over there, plug it in. You'll have to do a full team scan, and this door itself is also a blood door, so place a mine on it. And once you open it up, fall back, let the mine deal with most of the regular strikers and shooters that spawn in, but then be aware that a birther is also going to be spawning in from this blood door, and that mine is not going to deal with her. So rush her down, treat her just like you typically would. Some people focus on the tumors, some people focus on the babies, and once she is dead, you can then go into zone 412. Now, throughout this zone, no sleeping enemies, but there will be more resources to collect and 2 security doors to take note of. The one up north is the one in zone 416, which is where we do ultimately have to go for the data cube. However, that door is locked and requires a power cell to be plugged into the nearby generator in order to unlock it. So instead, we're going to head over to the east to the security door to 414, which will be a full team scan. Inside zone 414, there will be a few sleeping giants, not too many, but a few here and there. There'll be more resources to collect, as well as that power cell in one of the rooms. So go over there, clear out the enemies, grab resources, get that power cell. There's also a big door that connects the first and second room of the zone, which I highly recommend. Open that up and leave it open. This door will be crucial for the ending of the mission, so do not let it break down early. But once you've gotten the power cell, just start bringing it back into 412, go to the northwest corner where you'll find the generator, plug it in, and then you're going to want to start setting up your defenses because the security door to 416 is going to have that class 4 surge alarm tied to it that I mentioned earlier. And as you can see with this map overlay, there are a few different locations enemies could possibly spawn from. So what I like to do is every door I've highlighted, go on ahead and shut them except for this door right here. This door we're going to leave open to ensure that any of the enemies that spawn down south or to the east funnel in through here. And we're going to have our auto sentry and burst sentry positioned at the northern end of this corridor facing down south. As for the other doors, we're just shutting them and mining them just to deal with some enemies after they break down the door. It is a surge alarm, so the mines will delay them just by a little bit, giving you more time to focus on the scans. So get everything set up. I would recommend wait for an arrow wave to spawn in. Once it does, quickly rush out, deal with them while some people get the door shut and mined and the sentries placed down. And once you're good to go, activate the alarm and get to work on the scans. Once you finish all 4 of the full team scans, I would say work together, deal with the remaining enemies from the surge alarm, then go on ahead, pack up your sentries as well as any mines that did not happen to go off, and then you can go into zone 416 itself. Now inside zone 416, there will be another generator, although you don't need to worry about this quite yet. There will be your very first data cube as well as more resources and a fair amount of seafoam products, grenades, and trip mines. Which if you want to, you could bring 1 or maybe 2 of those grenades with you, but I would highly recommend leave the trip mines behind as well as most of the grenades because these will help out quite a bit towards the ending of the mission. But once you and your teammates are ready to go, one person, once you find that data cube, go on ahead and pick it up, but when you pick it up, make sure nobody is shooting or moving or has their lights on whatsoever, because after you pick it up, you will be teleporting into the next dimension. And you'll be back inside zone 410, and in here there are going to be a lot of enemies. Most of them are going to be giant strikers and or giant shooters, but there will also be a few regular boys. But if you're shooting or moving or light is on, there's a good chance you're going to wake them up, and if you do, you're going to lose a lot of ammunition, or potentially your run is just going to full on come to an end. But assuming you teleport and there are no issues whatsoever, you can then take things calm as there's no arrow alarm going on, and you're just going to want to sneak your way through the zone. The second version of zone 410 here, like I said, a lot of giants and a fair amount of smalls, and while there will be med packs and tool refills, there are not going to be any ammo packs whatsoever. As a matter of fact, there are no ammo packs in the entirety of this dimension. So whatever ammo you have on hand, that's all you get to make it to the end of this area and to the second data cube, which is going to be located inside zone 413. So make your way through zone 410, sneaking by the enemies or dealing with them, however you want to proceed, and eventually you will find the security door to 412, which is going to be a full team scan. Inside zone 412, there's going to be a few more giants as well as regular enemies, but more importantly, there are going to be 6 scouts patrolling about in this zone, and you definitely don't want to wake them up, because if you do, it can set off a massive chain reaction which might deplete all of your resources. So deal with the scouts best as you can and just make your way through until you find the security door to zone 413. This door is going to have a checkpoint scan tied to it, the first of a few that you'll get in this level. So once you've taken care of everything you want to inside zone 412, do the checkpoint scan, door will automatically open up afterwards. And inside of zone 413, there are going to be a few different things you want to take note of. Like I said earlier, your second data cube will be somewhere inside the zone, but it is heavily guarded by pitch black darkness, a fair amount of giant strikers, baby strikers, as well as 1 birther, which will be in either the first room or one of the 2 side rooms. So sneak your way through here best as you can. Figuring out where that birther is highest priority as she is the biggest threat of this area. But because there are no ammo packs in here and you probably don't need that much more medipack or tool refill if you've been grabbing the previous ones, the moment you find the data cube, you could just teleport out. Or if you do want to look around a little bit to try to get the other resources, just leave somebody by the data cube, so if you do wake up a lot of enemies, somebody just quickly picks it up and you get yourself out of there. Upon picking up the second data cube, you will then teleport to the third dimension and find yourself back inside zone 410, and in here there will be a few regular chargers here and there. Now, as for this version of 410, layout is going to be a little bit different, but way you go about it is the same. Kill off all those regular chargers, look for resources. There will be ammo packs and tool refills, but no medipacks whatsoever. There's actually not that many medipacks in the entirety of this dimension, so make sure you're not taking needless hits here and there. But as you make your way to the far northern end of it, you will find a blood door to zone 412. This blood door will spawn in a few regular chargers, and there will be a sleeping tank on the other side of it, which will automatically wake up after the door opens. So a mine on the door should deal with most, if not all, of the chargers. Then you and your teammates just let the tank come out to you, get behind cover, and deal with it like you typically would. Once he is dead, you can then go into 412, and this time it is going to be a big donut room. throughout here, there will be a fair amount of resources. Terminal is located down below in the fog on the northwest corner, and in here you'll be able to find 2 security doors, one to the west to zone 413 and one to the east to 414. Now, zone 414 is where your third data cube is located at. However, that security door is locked and requires a colored keycard to open it up. That keycard, as you can guess, is always going to be located to the west inside zone 413, which is just going to be a full team scan. However, just like the previous dimension, this zone is quite dangerous. Zone 413 is completely covered in pitch black darkness, and throughout it, instead of babies and giants and a birther, there's going to be 3 charger scouts patrolling about, and a fair amount of regular chargers, and even some giant chargers. So make your way throughout here and deal with everything that's in the first room and anything in the side rooms which are immediately next to the doors. Reason for this will be made relevant later on. So go throughout here, do your best to deal with the enemies. If you brought some C-foam grenades with you, you can use them to deal with the charger scouts stealthily, or if you don't have any or you would rather just simply shoot them, you could also do that. If there's only one charger scout in the first room, I would typically just shoot it with a gun that can one-shot it to just pull the rest of the enemies, as I don't like meleeing giant chargers in pitch black darkness, but the way you handle it is of course up to you and your teammates. Once you've dealt with all the enemies in here that you need to, and you've grabbed all the resources from in here as well as that color key card, you can then make your way back out to 412 and go to the eastern end to zone 414. Once you plug the keycard into it though, you're going to see that there is a traveling alarm tied to it. And I would love to show you a map overlay, but you are in a different dimension, which means there is no map whatsoever. So I'm just going to have to describe how you set up for it. So enemies can either spawn to the west of you inside zone 413, either the 2 small rooms, or they're going to spawn all the way down south towards the beginning of the level. So what I like to do is have my burst sentry facing down towards south, usually on that bridge area, as it has plenty of time to shoot at enemies who approach from there. And then I'll have the auto sentry located kind of like you could see in the background footage. This is nice because this corner here is typically where a lot of people die during the alarm, as chargers are going to be able to get the high ground on you, and they could come at you from 2 different directions, as it's 2 different staircases they could take. So having the auto sentry to stagger enemies will make a game by this corner a little bit easier. And the other thing you're going to want to do to set up is all 4 doors located inside zone 413, go on ahead and place a mine on each of them because they can easily take any of the 4 doors to get to you. So place mines on those doors, get your sentry set up, make sure you're holding onto a few fog repellers as the traveling alarm will go down below in the fog, and trying to deal with all the chargers without being able to see them due to the fog is quite annoying. But once you got everything set up, then activate the alarm and get to work on the scans. As you approach a fog from a distance, throw those fog repellers in advance so you have plenty of time to spool up and actually disperse the fog when you get to it. And then just be careful of that corner because even with the auto sentry there, the chargers can get some pretty cheeky hits on you and chip away your HP. Once the scan finishes though, get out of the fog, deal with any of the chargers who are still left alive, then go on ahead, pack up your sentries, as well as any of the mines that did not go off. Once you got to all of that, you can head back to the security door and open it up. As for zone 414, like I said, your third data cube will be located somewhere inside the zone, but it will be guarded by a fair amount of giant chargers. You do not need to kill any of these though, you can just simply sneak right past them, grab the resources, figure out what the data cube is, and I would also highly recommend make sure you have a few stacks of fog repellers with you. Then once you have all that, go on ahead and pick up the data cube, and that will teleport you to the 4th dimension. Now, the reason why I said pick up those fog repellers is because the 4th dimension is completely covered in infectious fog. So the moment you teleport, one person throw a fog repeller at your feet to minimize how much infection you gain. And at this point, it is a game of using those fog repellers to find more from the nearby boxes and lockers while clearing out the few sleeping enemies in the zone, while also looking around for the 2 fog repellers which will be located somewhere inside zone 410 with you. Once you find one of them, it'll be a lot easier on your team as you can more easily traverse through this area without utilizing all of your fog repellers. Once you've cleared out everything in here, you're then going to want to make your way to the northern end, I believe, where you'll find the security door to zone 412. This door is just going to have a full team scan tied to it, and inside zone 412, there's going to be 4 scouts patrolling about, a decent amount of giant strikers, as well as some small boys here and there, a disinfect station, which you can use to get rid of all of your infection. I believe this is always located in the northeast corner of the zone, and you'll also be able to find somewhere a colored key card. This keycard you will need to then go back towards the beginning of the level where you'll be able to find the security door to zone 411. This door though is going to have a class 5 alarm tied to it where every single one of the scans are going to be full team scans, so we want to set up a few defenses for it. So first thing you're going to want to do, go back up north to the security door to 412 and the 3 doors that are connected to the first room, shut every single one of them and place a mine on them. Then have your auto sentry somewhere up in this area to shoot at enemies after they go through the open security door to stagger them and delay them a little bit. As for all the other doors in the area, go on ahead, shut every single one of them. And then the southern door here that you see in the background footage, this is where they will always come from if you have all the doors shut. So make sure you place a mine on that door, and as for your burst sentry, you can either have it in the room with you facing towards that door, or if you want to, you can have it outside in the previous room facing towards the room you teleported into, the very first one of this area, as all the enemies who come from down south will be spawning in there. Once you've gotten all the doors you need to mined and you have your sentry set up and you heal up a little bit, throw some fog repels throughout the room, activate the alarm, and get to work on the scans. And assuming you're able to get all the scans done, you just deal with any of the enemies left alive, pack up any of the mines that did not go off, as well as your sentries, and then you can activate the checkpoint scan tied to the security door to 411. Once the checkpoint scan finishes, the door will automatically open up, and somewhere inside zone 411, usually in the third and final room, you will be able to find your fourth data cube. However, on the way there, you're going to have to deal with a few regular strikers as shooters, a few giant strikers here and there, as well as a lot, and I mean a whole lot of spitters, especially in that first room. More than likely, you're going to be taking a lot of damage and gaining infection because of these guys, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, thankfully. Don't worry about going back to that previous disinfection station, by the way. There will be another one in the level right after this that we can utilize. So just make your way through the zone, grab the resources along the way. Terminal is in the first room, and once you've gotten all of the resources and you have found the data cube, go on ahead and pick it up, and that will teleport you back to the original dimension. And at this point, you don't have to worry about the error alarm as it has been deactivated, and now your objective is just simply make it to zone 418 and get to extraction. However, there's a little bit more we need to do along the way. First thing first, the security door to zone 419, which should be near you, has now just unlocked. So go over to it, do the full team scan tied to it, and in 419, no enemies whatsoever, but there will be a few resources to resupply with, as well as a disinfect station that you can use to get rid of any of the infection you got right before you teleported. And then what you're going to want to do is grab all of those seafoam grenades and trip mines you found in the nearby area, and you're going to want to backtrack a little bit into zone 414 and go to the security door to 415 found at the far eastern end of it. This security door is where we have to go to get a power cell in order to unlock the security door on our way to extraction. However, this door has an error alarm tied to it, and this is no simple error alarm. This is effectively a surge alarm you're about to activate that could spawn in strikers, flyers, and even so rarely hybrids. So we want to set up our defenses as this last bit can be quite challenging. So those seafoam grenades and trip mines that you found, highly recommend where you see the background footage, place the trip mines on the wall, shoot them so it sprays it all over the floor. Seafoam grenades, throw those in this area as well. I would say hold on to one or maybe even two seafoam grenades though, don't utilize every single one of them. I'm not doing this same strategy in the background footage. What you want to do is have two people go into zone 415. There's a terminal fairly early on to the left, so one person gets on it to ping where the power cell is while the other person just beeline straight for it. Once a person has pinged it, they can also go around and grab resources real quick, as there are a fair amount of them in 415. Meanwhile though, two people are going to be staying outside and dealing with the error alarm. And what I recommend you do is don't defend where you see my teammate and I defending here, rather defend up near that seafoam and prevent the enemies from actually utilizing it. Because with just the amount of seafoam trip mines and grenades you have, those error alarm enemies will get through it pretty quickly, and we don't want them to take up that seafoam quite yet. So we're going to defend up there with our sentries, or one or maybe even both of them, and just keep the error alarm enemies back for as long as we can while our teammates are going and getting that power cell. Then once they have gotten it and they have stepped out, we're then going to fall back a little bit and let the enemy step into all that seafoam to encase them in place and freeze them. Then we're going to go around the other end of the room, kind of like you see in the background footage, and we're going to get through that door. Once all four of us have gone through the door, we are going to shut it behind us, maybe hit with a seafoam grenade, or just simply run. Kind of depends on how many enemies are actually on the other side of it and how many are on top of you. This little bit right here can be pretty sketchy and very situational, but if you can make it past here safely, you're home free, because once you get here, you just drop down, get into the previous room, go up north, and then shut that door behind you. And as long as this door and the other door tied to this room are shut, the enemies will have to take time to break them down, and then just make your way back up into zone 414. Once you get there, go to the northeast corner of it, where you'll be in the room that has the generator all the way at the far back end. Plug that in, shut the doors behind you along the way, and even seafoam them and mine them if you want, just to buy you even more time. And once the power cell is plugged into the generator, do the full team scan, and then open up the door quickly. When you open up the door, you'll be heading into zone 417. I recommend immediately take a right. Do not go left. That is a death trap. Go right, and just go all the way down to the end of the room. There you'll be able to find a door, just open it up, shut behind you, hit it with another seafoam grenade if you have one, or another trip mine. Then right next to you, you'll be able to find the security door to 418. this door is just going to have a full team scan tied to it, so finish that scan. As soon as it's finished, open up the door and quickly run inside where you'll be able to find your extraction scan, and this scan gains progress very quickly. And once you get it all the way to 100%, you are done and have completed alternate R6D4. And that's all there is to it. Alternate R6D4 is one of the most unique levels in all of the rundowns when it comes to level concept. Effectively replaying the same mission multiple times across different dimensions was a great way to conclude the rundown that first introduced the multi-dimension mechanic to the game. I just wish there was a dimension dedicated to shadow enemies, since it feels like they were the only ones really left out of this mission. As always though, thank you for watching this video all the way to the very end. I do hope that I was able to provide you with some assistance in beating this level. If you have any tips or tricks to this level that you want to share, any questions for me, or you just have something in general that you would like to say, please do let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me, and if you want to join my community, there's a link to my Discord down in the description, as well as some other links you might be interested in. Among those links being one to the official GTFO merch store, which, as always, I highly recommend you check out if you're a fellow GTFO enthusiast and you're looking to pick up some sweet merch. And with that, every single GTFO level guide has been completed. So, until next time, keep an eye on your notification box, as it won't be long until I finally release what will probably be the last GTFO lore video I create. And hopefully, I'll see all you wonderful people in the next video.